Am I the a-hole for not meeting or wanting to be in the life of my ex's new baby, who is my kid's half-sibling? My ex, 30 female, and I, 30 male, broke up in 2022 after she cheated on me with my ex-best friend John, 31 male. Ex and I have 2 kids, ages 8 and 6, who we have 50-50 parenting time with, and shared legal and physical custody after DNA proved they were mine. Ex and John were together until December 2024, when John found out she had cheated on him. She was pregnant and paternity of the baby was in question. John tried reaching out to me about it, but I continued to ignore him like I had while he was with my ex. He and I will never be friends again. My ex gave birth in February, and paternity is still in the air and they're awaiting a DNA test result. John has had nothing to do with the baby yet because he refuses to be in the child's life unless the child is his. I don't know about the other guys. I don't even know how many there are. My ex's parents always handled exchanges with our kids, so there was less tension around the kids. But after my ex gave birth, they started suggesting I meet the baby and putting it out there that I'll always be a part of this child's life, and how their newest grandchild could do with someone like me in the picture. I told them it was a shame their daughter didn't consider that before she cheated on me. They told me it wasn't the innocent baby's fault, to which I rolled my eyes at them and said it can't be the baby's fault, but the baby isn't mine or family to me. They didn't like that, and when they found out I did nothing and bought nothing for the baby after it, I don't know if my ex had a boy or girl, were born. Ex's parents gave me a hard time about it, and I told my ex if it continued, I would file a modification with the court for someone else to be nominated to handle exchanges. She told me I was being a prick. I have documented everything, but these comments are now said when we see each other at the store or on the street, instead of during exchanges, which is smart. My ex reached out and asked me for $500 to buy a formula and diapers and some rash treatment for the baby the other week, and I quickly said no. The kids were with me, so I knew immediately it wasn't for them. She asked a second time, and I told her my answer had not changed. Ex's parents tracked me down when I was buying paint the next week, and they unleashed all this anger about my refusal to be in the baby's life, or even meet the baby. They said John won't be a good father, whether he is or isn't, and nobody else wants to know. But I'm already a dad, and the kids could be raised together. But I won't even be an uncle for this child, and they said how selfish I am, and what a piece of trash I'm being, when they know I can be better. That I am the father of this baby's half-siblings, and how my kids will never embrace the baby if I don't. I think it's crazy to expect me to have anything to do with this child, especially to expect me to embrace and love this child. Baby is innocent, but I am not a member of their family. They are my children's half-sibling, but it doesn't mean they are my child or anything by association. This is how I see it anyway. And for anyone who asks, I am still documenting and I'm discussing the next steps with my attorney over contact and exchanges. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You're under zero obligation to be involved in your ex's new baby's life. That child isn't yours, and it's not your responsibility emotionally, financially, or otherwise. It sucks that your kids have a half-sibling in a messy situation, but your role as a dad doesn't extend to fixing your ex's choices. You're being clear, firm, and handling it responsibly. Keeping boundaries doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you sane. Not the a-hole. Their expectations of you are absolutely wild. If her parents are so concerned about it, let them take on the burden of helping with the child and paying for its needs. I wondered about that. Why ask me when this child has a grandfather who can be active in their life? Ex's dad is right there after all. Not the a-hole. 6 and 8 years is a big age difference for your kids to have a close relationship with a new baby, even if it was a full sibling. I can't believe your ex asked you for $500 for stuff for the half-sibling. Clearly the chances of John being the father are slim to none, or the ex would have run down to get testing ASAP. She may have had no idea whose kid it is, and is waiting to see if it resembles any one of the potentially numerous candidates. Sucks, dude. She really blew it. The other option is John is regretting that he could be and avoiding it. Either way, they need to figure it out, and really should leave me out of it. But yes, they both blew it. To think he expected me to be friends with him still. Crazy. He was done with her, so he thought he could worm his way back into your life as if it was only your ex who cheated on you? What does he think? You'd be having a beer together, bitching about your cheating ex? I think that's exactly what he expected. And maybe he wanted to offload parental responsibility onto me if the baby is in fact his. I don't know. But I know he expected us to be buddies again. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my stepmom the money my dad left me? So here's the deal. I, 26 male, lost my dad last year. It was rough. Not just losing him, but also dealing with the estate and picking up the pieces afterward. He'd been remarried to my stepmom, Karen, for about 8 years. Karen and I were never that close. She wasn't cruel, just distant. Polite at holidays, but not much beyond that. Still, we were civil, and that was enough. When my dad passed, his will was clear. Karen would get the house and a comfortable savings cushion. I would inherit a sizable sum, enough for a strong down payment on a house and then some. He even left a letter saying he wanted me to have a good start in life, and that he was proud of me. That letter meant the world to me. Fast forward to this year, I mentioned to Karen that I was house hunting. Her attitude shifted immediately. She asked a bunch of questions about my savings, then started guilt-tripping me about family responsibilities. She said she was struggling with bills and asked for a loan from my inheritance to help keep the house running. I told her no, politely but firmly. I reminded her the money was intended for me and that she had the house and savings to manage her own finances. She didn't take it well. She accused me of being greedy and said my dad would be disappointed in me. For the record, he'd be furious she even asked. Since then, it's turned into full-on family drama. Some relatives, mostly on Karen's side, say I'm selfish, while others, including my uncle and a few of Dad's friends, say I'm honoring exactly what Dad wanted. And here's the thing, Karen isn't broke. She's still living comfortably, taking weekend trips, dining out. She's not struggling to survive. She just doesn't want to adjust her lifestyle now that my dad's not there to fund it. Honestly, part of me feels a little guilty. But a bigger part of me knows my dad didn't leave me that money to bankroll someone else's lifestyle. He wanted me to build something for myself. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for saying no? Don't give her a cent. She is being ridiculous. She's trying to manipulate you emotionally. Your dad's wishes should come first. He stated pretty clear in his will. That money was for you alone to get a good start in life. He left her the house and a substantial savings. I think she's blown through that money and now hitting you up for your money. So sorry, honey, but you're not entitled to OP's money. 1. She is or was correct. Family comes first. 2. She is no longer your stepmother. Your father is deceased. 3. You're following your father's instructions. Family comes first. Therefore, purchase your house first. The sad part is, she is trying to recruit others to back her up. Stepmom is weird for an 18-year-old anyway. My mother remarried when I was 20, and her partner was never my stepdad. I was an adult by then. For my wife, it was the husband of her mother. My stepmother has been called that for decades because we fall into habits. Legally speaking, she isn't. My father is deceased, but she isn't someone to act selfishly either. I think it really depends. I adored my stepfather who didn't come into my life until I was 18. But he never tried to force a relationship, was very good to my mother, and was never anything but kind and helpful. It didn't happen overnight, but gradually. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not disclosing to my housemates that my family has money and refusing to pay more monthly? This happened in Brazil, but I'm posting here so my friends don't find it. I, 23 female, live with 7 other people, 2 girls and 5 boys. One of them is my boyfriend. We are all between 22 and 25. We started renting together 3 years ago, when we were all in the same university and just kept doing it. We split rent and utilities equally. We are all at least friendly with each other and regularly have parties or travel together, but we are not all that close. Recently, during a party, we were all a bit drunk and were talking about funny stories from our families, and I commented that I studied in a very elite school in our city. One of the boys, Jay, 25, was very surprised because it is a very expensive school. He started asking me questions about the way I grew up and eventually just said, "Wow, you are rich." I thought that was it, and we kept having fun. Well, the morning after, he started making all these jokes about me being rich and snobby, which I didn't mind. We tease each other all the time. But after like 3 days, it started annoying people, so one of the girls, Maria, 24, female, told him to cut it out because he was overdoing it. This started an argument, and eventually it came out that he was uncomfortable with the revelation that my parents had money. We started talking about it. It was super awkward because it sucks having a serious conversation at breakfast, and he said that he truly felt betrayed because he thought we were all broke and that to make things fair, I should have been making bigger contributions to the house funds. I said that I understood he was upset, but that I couldn't really afford paying the amount he was suggesting, 1,800 Brazilian real. He insisted, and my boyfriend got involved, and eventually he just left while saying I was a liar. Well, my other 6 friends don't agree with him and think he's being a prick, and now he's been kind of sidelined for the past week, but I can't help wondering if he's right. I never lied about how I grew up, but I knew that just the fact both my parents have a master's meant that I grew up better off than everyone else from this group, and I kind of avoided commenting about it because I thought it was awkward. Most people knew, but apparently Jay and our other friend didn't. Am I the a-hole for not paying more? Now for the comments. Info. Do you have more space in the place you rent, like a master bedroom when the others are smaller? Do you and your boyfriend share a room? Do you use more resources, eat more, run more things that drive up the utility bills? If the answers are no, yes, and no, not the a-hole. But your roommate is. And also hella entitled. Me and my boyfriend do share a room. Our room is the same size as 2 others, and then the other 2 girls share the biggest room. It isn't that different. It basically just has an extra closet. My boyfriend does work from home 2 days a week, so I guess he does take up more utilities. But I leave home at 7 a.m. and get home at 9 p.m. weekdays, so I don't think I particularly take more up. Not the a-hole. Your parents may have money, but that doesn't mean you do. You don't state if they're paying your rent, so presumably you're all in the broke early 20s phase, trying to figure it out and make it on your own. No, they are not paying my rent. Yeah, we are exactly in that phase, lol, but I do have a safety net of being able to return to my parents' home if necessary, and they would be able to help me out for a bit if I lost my job or something, so I guess it's a bit different from the others? No, it's not really. Your ability to pay now and what you could do in an emergency housing situation are 2 different things. Your parents' wealth is not yours, especially because you don't act like it is. Next time he brings it up, tell him that your parents are rich. You are not. Signed, one person with rich parents who is very much not herself. Last story. Am I the a-hole for quitting my job when my boss just told me my salary is being cut by half? I run a small restaurant that has not been doing great over the last 2 years. I have tried my best to do everything within my power to boost sales and get new customers, but the ownership refuses to advertise or to use social media appropriately, make a TikTok, engage users, make events for specials. They also do not replace broken equipment. The ice machine has mold growing in it. The cooler doors fall off a few times a shift. One AC unit in the kitchen just doesn't work, so it's always hot and uncomfortable for the cooks. I have been working there for 12 years, and I love my job 90% of the time. But yesterday I was told that my salary would be cut in half, starting next pay period, and they wanted me to pick what my remaining responsibilities would be. Keep in mind, I am the only manager and there is no chef. I manage all orders, beer, liquor, wine, and food. I plan special events, Thanksgiving dinners, beer specials, etc. I cook when a kitchen guy is out sick. I bartend when no one can cover a shift. I am the electrician, or plumber, HVAC, janitor, therapist. I make all the schedules, do all the training, created the training program, pay the bills. The list goes on. The owners take extravagant trips yearly. like going to the Paris Olympics or Scotland for a week. They spent 3 months in Europe 2 summers ago while I ran their business. Now that the business is not doing so hot and I am the only salaried employee, I have to give up half of my pay. I would go from $1,800 per week to $900 and be forced to bartend to supplement my income, which means my bartenders will make less money and have fewer shifts, while I have to work more hours to get my other responsibilities taken care of. So I want to tell them that I do not accept the pay cut, because I know I will still be responsible for all of the things ownership is going to neglect or forget to do, which I assume will mean I am fired or quit. Does that make me a selfish a-hole? My husband says I should stick it out because I need the insurance, but I am tired of feeling like I have been taken advantage of. Not the a-hole. Think of it this way. You can stay at a sinking restaurant at half pay, or you can get a job at half pay in a thriving restaurant and work that pay up. You owe your employer nothing after what they did. They sure as heck aren't taking a 50% pay cut. Not the a-hole. OP's name is not on the restaurant. They shouldn't be working harder than the owners that do have their name on the business, especially a struggling, failing business. Always act your wage and never run yourself into the ground for an employer who will have your job listing posted before your obituary hits the papers. Hi, I own a successful restaurant. Let me give you my perspective as a potential employer in your field. Tell them you need the new offer in writing before you can figure out your new responsibilities. Then take that letter to the unemployment office and file for unemployment due to constructive dismissal. Unemployment will either give you your half of the wages back or give you leave to quit and collect unemployment while you find a new job, if this is in the US. If you can do all of those things reliably, competently, and on a schedule without any training or oversight, and if you can care that much about someone else's business, you can find a better job. The ship you are currently on is sinking. It's already sunk to the point where the mast is barely poking above the water and you're balanced on top on one foot. The owners do not give one single damn about that business. You will be losing your job anyway if you don't quit. One day soon, you will show up to work and the doors will be chained shut and a tax lien will be posted on the door. If you do decide to keep your job for the insurance, do exactly half the work you're doing now and give zero fucks about the rest. Don't do work you aren't paid for. Make it their problem. They created the problem. They can solve it, but they won't. So your job will become dealing with angry people who didn't get paid, served, or whatever. And we're back to just quit. Please, for the love of justice and sanity, do not continue to keep this business running for $900 a week. They do not deserve that from you. Not the a-hole. To add to this, when you do quit or are constructively dismissed, and they call you back a month later begging you to come back to work, assuming they haven't just shut down, you ask for a 50% raise. They won't go for it, of course, but it's grounds to negotiate a pay raise, accommodating a job that would normally require the skills of an entire team.